Appreciate you streaming in here on Birds 365. You got Mac and Mac. And we've got our guy, Bob Grotz from the Delco Times, longtime Eagle beat reporter, who, oh, by the way, if there's any reason to hit the like button, it's Bob Grotz. Come on. You guys love when Grotz joins us. He is one of our star guests each and every single time he comes on. So for the 200 and change you on there right now, I expect each and every single one of you to hit the like button. That a good enough introduction, Bob?
Yeah, and if they don't hit it, I will.
There we go.
We'll take any way we can get it, Grotz. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're gonna help the algorithm. I want to get a like from Contavia Street, but I don't think I did. Neither one of us. You excited about the Contavia Street pickup?
No, no.
What's your favorite street? Is it,
if he makes the team,
Broad? Is it Broad or Contavious?
Yeah. I do like this. The Eagles are bringing guys in that are full of energy. These are all, like depth guys, and they're full of energy. They're going to give it everything they got. I don't know if any of them can play. Terrell Edmonds. I mean, the Steelers tried to, I think they put his stuff outside the locker room, and he didn't get that message and ended up re-signing with him because they needed somebody else. He's an effort guy, but I don't think.
Well, he's the one guy we know about because he's played so much. He's started 5 seasons.
Yeah,
on a pretty good defense. I mean, more often than not.
He gave up all the touchdowns.
He gave up all the touchdowns. Is Terrell Edmonds going to be your 2023 James Bradberry? I think he's a competent player. Like of all the 1 year guys they signed, he's the one guy where you can say, all right, he's started. He's not splashy, but he's solid. My problem with Terrell Edmonds, Bob, is I don't get the fit. He's a box safety. He's a Malcolm Jenkins type safety. I don't want that type of safety.
He's a special teams guy, John.
Right.
He's not even.
We're not even going that.
He's not. Yeah, I mean that's what you're getting there. Hey,
right.
You talking to a couple of people back in Pittsburgh, and not coaches, but people that watch the team. They were surprised that he was back with the team last year. So he's a little better than average. He was overdrafted.
I'll take a little better than average. That's my point. I agree with you. That's fine. I'll take that.
Well, but that's what you get. You get special teams out of that. He should have been drafted probably at least the second day or the third day.
He shouldn't have been the first round pick. I mean, that's part of the problem. He's a first round pick. So we were just talking about that with Jordan Davis. Expectations. He'll always be labeled as a first round pick. You know me, you know editors, Bob. One of my pet peeves as an editor is when people say former first round pick. You're never a former first round pick. Once you're a first round pick, you're a first round pick. You're a 2018 first round pick or a 2019 first round pick. I say that semantically, but you're always a first round pick. Always. Yeah.
No, you always are. You're correct. But former fills out the paragraph better. If you put that
in. And I disagree with you. Once you sign for $1.8 million, guess what? You're a former first-round pick. If you're not still benefiting from that first-round pick status, you've officially become former. You're just a Jag. You're another guy who's signing for under $2 million.
But I'm not talking, not maybe from an evaluation standpoint. From an editorial standpoint, no, trust me, you're always a first-round pick.
Right,
Nobody's a former first-round pick.
And when Grotz said he gave up all the touchdowns, I thought he was going down the Jalen Mills road because that was my big knock against the evaluation of Jalen Mills. Every single touchdown pass the Eagles gave up while Jalen Mills played here, it was because of him. It was always on Jalen Mills, which I thought was just flat out wrong. He gave up some. He'd get burnt. He'd take his chances. He'd get a wrong read and would look real bad on TV or on tape. But he wasn't nearly as bad as some people made him out to be. And I hope that's
valid comparison, though. Valid comparison. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if he's the guy.
Jalen Mills for less than $2 million. I think I can probably live with that.
Yeah. He's going to be Terrell Edmonds will be in a lot of highlight shots only for the other team.
Okay.
Oof.
He is.
Jalen Mills,
if he plays. You are right on this, John. He is year's Bradberry. Edmonds for Grotz. He'll be noting whenever he gets burnt.
Well, unfortunately,
you know the only reason Bradberry came back is he took the discount.
Yeah, well, that's true. But unfortunately for Eagles fans, in Bob's mind, he might be this year's Bradberry. But I will say he's not going to turn into a second-team All-Pro like last year.
No, that's what Eagle fans have to root for. Yeah. That Bob's got the wrong read on him the same way he had the wrong read on Bradberry.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm not. I mean, the guy, he is what John said. I mean, he's a box safety. You try and have him cover anybody, and they're going to catch the ball. That's just not what he does. But he is physical. Maybe he'll help out. You know, if this coordinator is sharp, bring him in the short yardage and situational plays, things like that, and use them that way, because their run defense is still. Their defense, you know, I mean, what, 38 points?
I can't figure out their run defense, Bob.
Yeah,
They're signing 217-pound linebackers. They're bringing in 285-pound defensive tackles. But they don't care about stopping the run.
You know, Keanu Neal, now the guy who signed with the Steelers, I don't know how much interest.
They brought him in for a visit.
But but he can cover. He does get hurt, though. So you want somebody who's going to be reliable too.
Well, he got 2 years, so he's out the door. The Eagles aren't giving anybody 2 years.
Right. That would have been a much better signing, if you ask me. I mean, he can still he doesn't run like he used to, I think, because of the injuries, but he's smart and he's around the ball. I think that would have helped. So he would have been kind of your Kaiser White of the secondary.
I think he's more of a linebacker at this point than modern linebacker than safety. That's probably part of the problem with Keanu.
Yeah, but didn't the Cowboys try that with him? And
he didn't like it. He didn't want to do it. But they played him at linebacker. And then he went back to safety. Where was he last year? I forget. Tampa? Was it Tampa? No. But he went back to safety. He didn't like playing linebacker.
Atlanta, was he a Falcon last year?
Yeah, I think he was in Atlanta last year. But
I got a question for both you guys. And it's something that Jeff Lurie said the other day when he addressed the media out in Arizona. He was asked about the Eagles retaining some of their free agents, many of them over 30, older guys not compared to McDonald, McMullen, and Grotz, but compared to other NFL players that over 30 makes them old. And he tied it to, we love these guys because they are part of the character of the team, that they make up what the team is all about. And I get that. I understand that. But how much does character and the way that you build a team and put it together have to do with winning, and how much does winning have to do with building the character of the team? We all say it's all about the feeling in the building and the character and the way that it comes together, and that gives you winning. Or does winning help build character? Of course, I'm talking chicken and egg here, and Jeffrey Lurie was certainly putting them in a distinct order, because we have high character players, because we have the type of culture that we have. That's why we win. Or do they win, and does that build the culture on the team? If you understand my question, I'm not doing a great job of asking it, but see if you can answer it just the same.
Players win, and this culture stuff. Sure, you don't want to have a lot of drama in the locker room, but my response to that would be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
His subtraction helps the culture.
No. I would have signed him. He's the best guy in that secondary.
You don't care about the culture. You had to keep Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I got it.
They have enough. They have enough leadership there that they could take that on. But they
already did. They already proved they did.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. You bringing back Slay, who's, if you ask me, he's just not the guy he was when he first came here. So. And Bradberry, you know how I feel about him. I mean, he's a great guy. He plays an energetic game, but he just can't run anymore. He's like You know,
he's not the fastest corner, but man, he's a good player. Bob.
Not the fastest, John. I'm telling you,
he's a good.
My.
In this defense, and the defense they play.
In what defense? We don't know what this guy's going to do.
We know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to play the same damn scheme they played last year. Yeah. In this defense,
he's going to play the Chicago scheme, which is what that is.
Well, when Vic was there, it's this scheme. And
bottom line, the Eagles still are going to have to win games the way they did last year.
Jeffrey Lurie admitted that. Yeah. This game's about offense. Offense. Not
a revelation, wasn't it, John?
Yes, it was. Well,
wasn't that I mean,
it was a revelation.
I had to take a knee when I heard that. I took a knee.
No, I agree with you.
He has spoken.
Now, it was a revelation to people who think, for whatever reason, they never listened to it, and they think the Buddy Ryan days are coming back, where you can dominate defensively.
You're right. That's not going to happen.
It's a revelation to those, or it should be, but it's not. So
what about all the stat geeks who keep telling everybody, "Oh, the Eagles' defense it ranks in the top 5 in these categories." You know,
well, it did. That's the point, though. When you run up, and that's what
you know why it did. Yeah, because of the offense. That
doesn't
mean they know how to play defense. They did know how to rush the passer.
That's part of it. But everybody throws out like it's an insult. It's not an insult. The Eagles' defense was good against bad quarterbacks, and they weren't good against good quarterbacks.
Well,
which to me is common sense. To me, that's common sense. But that was what Jeffrey was saying, and he actually brought up the Patrick Mahomes of the world, and Jalen. He now believes belongs in that category, and all the great quarterbacks. We know the names. You can't stop those guys in today's game. So you got to find a way to get the Brandon Graham stop, like Super Bowl 52. Yeah. You know, you got to be able to keep up with them, and you got to be able to get a stop somewhere along the way. That's where
you got to rush the passer. You got to generate some heat on those quarterbacks. You know, get them out of their. Try to get them out of their sweet spot.
But what I'm saying, Bob,
and you can't blame it on the football field either. You can't blame it on the playing surface.
No, everybody played on the same surface.
Yeah, right.
But my point is, Bob, is this insanity that you got to play well against Patrick Mahomes in this era. You got to stop Patrick Mahomes. You're not stopping good offenses. You're not. You got to find a way to keep up with them. And then, again, find the one key stop. There's not this assumption that, oh, this defense stinks because they can't stop Patrick Mahomes or they can't stop the high-powered offense. Nobody can. Nobody can stop the Eagles. They watch it every week. They can't stop them. Kansas City sure as hell didn't stop them. And they sure as hell wouldn't have stopped them if they kicked the field goal. And there would have been 142 left. Eagles were going down the field and scoring.
I don't know, John. John, they stopped him in the second half. I mean, hey, they did.
When they got that lead, stop them. When they got that lead, how quickly?
I know you don't like Spagnuolo. You don't like John. He does not like Spagnuolo.
He is one of the most overrated defensive coordinators of the history.
But he had a very good plan for that second half. He got him the ball back. They controlled the ball, but he got him.
Now, here's what I like about Steve. He understands the modern game. He understands it's what I just said. It's about getting a stop, getting a key stop. As I said, he's been in charge of 2 of the 3 worst defenses in NFL history. That to me is good coaching. Like if you have crap, and he had crap in those years, obviously, one with the Giants, one with the Saints. Obviously, he didn't have the personnel. But you got to turn that into 20. You know, if you're a great defensive coordinator, you're not going to make it a good defense. But you can't have the worst defense in history. I mean, you got to be able to scheme up something. That's my problem with Steve. But he does understand.
You can't have walk-in touchdowns either. I mean, you just can't have that. You know, it would have been 3, right?
No, well, hey, the Eagles didn't play well in the second half. I mean, there's no question about it.
Here's the thing. Right now with the Eagles, they're still not, if you ask me, they're still not better than they were last year.
Oh, no.
So
they lost 7 starters.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens in the draft. And guys, I think, the offensive line, I think that's an option. I don't think that they're going to take an offensive lineman if they stay at 10. I think they're going to trade back. I think they trade back, yeah, and they get some because they're going to need draft picks. And there's offensive linemen you could trade back for, and there's edge rushers. There's not a lot of them, but there's some that are going to be available if you trade back modestly.
Well, I definitely think they're going to trade back, whether it's 10 or 30. They're going to add picks. They're going to add picks.
Yeah, you don't get much for 30, though. I mean, that's a second.
Yeah, the fourth. All they need, they need to add 4th, 5th round picks.
I think there's a better chance of them trading 30 than 10. Because you need, we could all sit here and do our own mock drafts and say the perfect place for the Eagles to land would be 16. Because here are the 15 we think will be off the board, and then they'll have their choice of 3 or 4 guys, that grouping that John likes to talk about. They like the group players. We need to get one of these players. Yeah, but then the other team's got to want to do the deal. You can't just say, we'd like to opt out of 10 to go back to 16 and take the prerequisite draft capital in exchange for it. No, you have to have a team that says, okay, yeah, we'll give you X and Y if you let us move up from 16 to 10. I think a lot of times you throw that out there and we just wave a magic wand, and that's exactly what happens. You need someone else to tango.
Yeah, I think there's still going to be a quarterback available. So I think somebody is going to drop. I don't see what.
No, I don't think that's happening.
You don't think it's happening? I think a guy's going to drop. Yeah, because there's other good players at the top.
Other
teams are going to want to trade in there.
Let me jump in here. So
I think you're going to see the most trades ever in the top 10.
Okay, we'll see. I want to ask both of you guys this because I saw this morning and I was very intrigued by it. What is both of your guys' opinions on Bucky Brooks of the NFL Network?
I like Bucky.
He's not Daniel Jeremiah. He doesn't have the cachet that Daniel Jeremiah has, but he's one of their quote-unquote draft experts. What do you think of Bucky Brooks, Bob Grotz?
I guess he's okay. Yeah, all these guys, Jody. They get a lot of stuff wrong, just like we do.
Okay,
so,
all right. Here's why I bring up Bucky Brooks. Which, John, I'm with you. I think he's really good. I think he's every bit as good a mock draft guy and a draft analyst as Daniel Jeremiah is. He has the 2 quarterbacks going 1-2, and the next quarterback coming off the board at 20. He's got Richardson falling all the way till 20, and Levis falling out of the first round.
Well, that's what I was about to say, Jody. If there's one guy who could fall, I think it's going to be Levis. But if he falls, he's going to fall a long way. Like, I don't think anybody's trading up in the mid-round. I think that's an indication that people just don't like that kid. And I don't think Richardson, he's too talented. I think people might be wrong because it's all projection. But somebody's gonna bite on Richardson in the top 10. Levis, I could see him tumbling a little bit. But I think if he tumbles, it's going to be pretty far. It's not going to be one of that, he's going to fall from top 10 to 16. I think Bucky's right. Then you're talking, he's going to fall behind Hendon Hooker in the 2nd round or something like that. That's my opinion, but it's just an opinion.
Yeah, I think there's 2 quarterbacks that deserve to go in the 1st round. Number 1, number 2, and that's it. So good luck to anybody who takes Richardson because he's got the athletic skills. Kind of need to be able to be accurate and throw the football to be a good quarterback in the NFL, and I'm not sure he can do that.
Yeah, I like the Ohio State guy. I like him.
You like Stroud over Young?
Yeah, everything about him. Yeah.
What do you think of the size deficiencies of Bryce Young? Does that concern you, Bob?
He's a guy that can make it work. I'm not. I know that you hear GMs talk about you gotta. It's a big man's league, and even quarterback, you got to go big, and they look at past mistakes. But I think he's going to be a player. So it would be real close between those guys. But I like the Ohio State guy. I think he's got a little bit more arm talent and a little more upside.
But remember, he's never going to be an NFL quarterback because he went to Ohio State. And
we got those people. Yeah,
they've never developed a winning quarterback ever. Like the fact that Joe Burrow came out of LSU and they hadn't had a superstar quarterback since Burt Jones.
He also went to Ohio State.
I remember Burt Jones. Burt Jones was a heck of a
Joe Burrow's become a superstar quarterback, even though he graduated from LSU.
And technically, he also went to Ohio State.
He started at Ohio State because that's another university that they say you can't get a quarterback out of that place because it's never happened before. It's the dumbest football argument I know.
Well, I'll
never
tell you what.
Scout the helmet. That's rule number one. Never,
you have Nick Sirianni. You have him coach the guy in Chicago, Justin. I mean, you have him coach him.
I think Justin would be great.
Would be a player.
Would be great.
Yeah, I mean, he would get the most out of him.
I feel Jody knows. I feel sorry for him because of where he is. Yeah, and that's another thing I don't think people take into account. Situation means so much to these players. Like, I think Justin Fields would already be a superstar if he was in Philadelphia. I really believe that.
I think
in Chicago,
he would be
I don't
much
think he's
better
ever
off.
going to be a superstar. I think he's making plays on his own.
Yeah, there's a thing right there too, John and Jody. I mean, Nick he's a really good coach. I mean, he develops these young guys. He gets them to buy into this. And people think, oh, well, that's what a coach does. That's easy. It's not easy. I mean, they got the ultimate, they got the most out of that team that they could, you know. And he's a very good coach, and he will put them in the right positions. Even the playing time. You know, you hear guys coming here and they're talking about playing time, and they know they have a feeling that they're gonna be used the right amount of snaps. The guys that have had injuries like Penny, you know, that's amazing. You know, the word is out.
All right, and let me go there. I'm going to get killed on the stream here because I'm not just rubber stamping like some other Eagle executives are. Do we have right to take a wait-and-see attitude with Brian Johnson as the play caller of this team? Because as per this week, according to Nick Sirianni and Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles have a boy genius now as their offensive coordinator. That Lurie was throwing, the only guy he threw more effusive praise at than Brian Johnson was Jalen Hurts, which is going to end up costing him money in the long run. But that Sirianni just loved him, and what a quarterback coach we've gotten. And we were worried about losing him as someone else's offense, and we were so glad to be able to keep him. Okay, can I wait and see if that works? Because you're going to have to compare him to Shane Steichen. And Steichen had a hell of a year calling plays.
Yeah, he did.
Calling plays for the Eagles. Do we just know you plug Brian Johnson in there, and because he's known Jalen Hurts since he's 5, that everything's going to run exactly the same as it did this year for the offense?
Well, there will be obvious growing pains, but and Jalen Hurts, he does, you know, he does a lot of off-schedule stuff too. So he will figure something out within the confines of whatever that scheme is. And it'll be much the same. But, yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I think Brian Johnson will be fine. He's going to be – and with Hurts's development, he's going to look good too. He does a lot of off-schedule stuff, and he makes a lot of big plays that way. And, you know, Jalen is – he's like your ultimate weapon right now in the NFL. If he stays healthy, I don't see how you stop him, you know, like, although I would have loved to see that last possession with 143.
Yeah, so would I. So would Jeffrey Lurie. I think we all have. Yeah. I think they'd score, you know. Yeah. You never know when Brandon against Tom Brady, you make the play. Maybe somebody on Kansas City makes a play, but
Chris Jones, man.
Yeah, maybe Chris Jones makes a play, but I don't like Kansas City's chances if they got the ball back.
Oh, and by the way, Brett Veach, he's done a heck of a job there, too.
He's tremendous GM.
I mean, that guy, he was with the
Started
Eagles.
In Philadelphia,
yeah. I mean, he is a heck of a guy.
13 of the 32 coaches, current NFL head coaches, have been through the NovaCare complex, Bob. Yeah. And there's so many GMs. Jason Light, Super Bowl winning GM. Brett Veach, Super Bowl winning GM. They were here in Philadelphia. Yeah.
The Kansas City guys told me that Veach is the guy who lobbied hardest for Mahomes. Everybody thinks it was Andy.
I heard that as well.
Veach lobbied hardest. Yeah. That was really – and that should tell you everything right there. I thought it was a reach.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, I get still freezing cold take today because I one of my misses, Bob Euchre, wild and outside. I thought Patrick Mahomes was a mechanical mess coming out of college. I get freezing cold taked on that all the time. But you know what? He's not a very good mechanical quarterback.
No,
doesn't matter.
Comes that.
Yeah, he overcomes it. He's he's throwing all platform. He's throwing. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that.
That shovel pass is the die for.
Yeah. Well, Andy's been doing that for years, but it's even better with Patrick.
Now, John, did you say that about Rodgers when he was coming out too?
Rodgers was a little bit.
Because he was a mechanical mess too. Not as bad as Mahomes, but he would throw off his back foot and running and across his body the same way Mahomes does.
I wasn't doing it as deeply draft stuff when Aaron won. But I didn't love Aaron. I didn't see Aaron Rodgers coming, if that's what you're asking. I'm not good. Even going further back, I admit my biggest miss ever, my two biggest misses ever in my sports career, Bob Grotz. Ryan Leaf in football.
Oh, I knew you were going to say Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. Ben Simmons in basketball. But you know what? It's always about off the field stuff. There's no way I can know Ryan Leaf is a lunatic. I mean, physically, he had all it took to be a good NFL quarterback. He had a lot of problems. With Ben Simmons, I mean, I thought he was going to be a Magic Johnson-like player. I have no idea. He's got no confidence. And who knows a basketball player that doesn't want to shoot with that talent level? I mean, it's absurd. How would anybody ever project that?
A unique skill set. Yeah. Doesn't want to shoot.
I mean, it's always about issues off the field. It might be work ethic. It might be, bad behavior. It might be mental issues, but it's always off the field or courts. It's never on the field. They have the talent. If you're pick number 1 or number 2, you have the talent to succeed. Jamarcus Russell be another example, although I thought he was going to be a bust. I got that one right. We just didn't have the work ethic from everybody talking about. It's not like he didn't have the talent. It's always off the field, Bob.
He had an arm.
Yeah, maybe the biggest quarterback miss I ever had, because I just went nuts over the guy, and I was out there on an island by myself, and damn did I sink. See if you remember this name. Chad May from Kansas State.
Kansas State, baby. Kansas State.
I thought he was the next Troy Aikman. Physical, same exact build, same exact game. I thought he was going to come into the league and just be a superstar.
I covered Chad May.
Did you?
May.
Yeah. Oh, I talked him up a blue streak.
I think it was a fifth round. He ended up going in the 5th round.
Right. So I didn't end up having to eat that much crow, because it wasn't like a team put all their eggs in Chad May's. The only one who put all his eggs in Chad May's basket was me. And
and Mike Mamula. He sacked him like 4 times in a bowl game. Yeah.
They got him big time. But
elevating him into the
I'm
top
making up for it, because last year in October I started talking up Drake May. And by the time we get to next year's draft, it'll be all about Williams and May, the top 2 picks, better than the 2 picks who are in this year's draft. So I'm going to get a May right. I got Chad wrong, but I got Drake right. I was out ahead of everybody else on Drake May, the Carolina quarterback, who Ed Kratz will try and tell me that Howell is better than
Sam Howell.
They're not even in the same conversation.
All right, I got to pimp Bob at Bob Grotz, Delco Times. Make sure you read Bob there. Now, your latest ex-Eagles throwing dirt on Bird's talent level.
Oh,
CJ Gardner-Johnson. Why, Bob? Why are they throwing dirt? Why?
Because they're making everybody take the hometown discount. Here's the way the Eagles are negotiating now. Do you want it? They put the contract on the table and it's
not a bad way to negotiate.
Do you want it? Do you want to be a part of this? I got to think about it. We're moving on. That's it.
It's not a bad way to do it, though.
But as John likes to point out, and I think he's accurate with this, that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We'll all agree that was it. They put an offer on the table. They had it there for a period of time. They pulled it off. They moved on.
Oh, they didn't just move on. They brought back the 2 old guys.
But do you factor in the fact that he's a tough guy to coach? That he's more effort to coach and keep in line or whatever. Are they? Does that not give them the right to go take it or leave it?
No, that's an excuse. That's an excuse.
All right.
And they do have other obligations. They have other obligations. They're going to have to pay the quarterback. So, yeah. And they looked at that whole thing.
And that's my point with CJ.
That guy can play.
Well, he can play. I agree. But I'll throw this in. There are 31 other teams and nobody else paid him.
Well, that's because the whole market dried up. While he was there, I can imagine what that deal looked like. You know, that's insulting. That he says that offer or his agent, that's insulting. Come on, we're going to go out and take a look. And meanwhile, you know how fast that first phase of free agency.
Oh yeah, you either take it or you're going to get yourself in trouble.
And it didn't help either. I mean, I don't know that he's worth $16 million a year. I'm not saying that, but but you know, he's kind of that hybrid thing. But the guy is a player. He sort of plays a hybrid position. He is a player, and
I agree. He
just
can play.
Like how much does Fred Warner make? I'm not comparing the two. But there's a linebacker.
Well, Fred makes a lot for a linebacker, but
traditionally they don't get a lot. Is he worth it? Yeah, that he makes plays, and so does Chauncey, and he has an attitude. I don't think. I think they're going to miss him.
I'll give you one more chance to throw dirt on. Is that why Nick Sirianni went kind of bending over backwards to talk up Reed Blankenship the other day? Because somebody's got to step in and play for Chauncey Gardner. So the coach is saying the drop-off is not that bad from the guy we're replacing to the guy we're plugging in there.
Well, not if you want to give up 38 points in the Super Bowl, no, and 2 walk-in touchdowns, yeah. They can do that without Chauncey, yeah.
It's amazing. In Super Bowl 52, it's amazing how things – I think the Eagles gave up, 615 yards of offense. I mean, it was an absurd number. Absurd. They were awful in that game.
I still can't believe they gave up 505 passing yards to Brady.
They made the one play. Jim Schwartz still won't talk about it. Still won't talk about it.
Oh, that was the best.
But they made one play. One play.
They're going to miss Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. When he left the lineup, maybe it's a coincidence. When he left the lineup, all the big plays left, except for some strip sacks by Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, he's definitely a playmaker. I mean, he led the league in interceptions. He missed 5 games. I mean, that's all you need to know. The guy can make plays.
Yeah.
Maybe
Bob Grotz, how are you celebrating the last day of March? You got any plans or anything? Is the 1st of April more, but you got plans for tomorrow? Today ends the month of March and tomorrow starts the month of April. You got anything specific laid out?
No, I got a weekend pass. I get the bracelet off this weekend, and the ankle bracelet. Yeah,
nice, nice. See,
and by the way,
it was a parking violation. Yeah, it was a parking violation.
You're going to lose something else this weekend, Bob. You're going to lose your blue check mark. We're all going to lose our blue check marks this weekend.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Well, unless the Delco Times wants to pay for it. We're all going to lose our blue checks to Elon Musk. All our legacy verified people. We're going to lose our blue checks.
Oh, the legacy guys?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I won't be losing any sleep over that. No. Bobby Grotz, always a pleasure, brother. We'll get you back on in a couple of weeks. Thanks for doing it today.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Bob.
That is Bob Grotz of the Delco Times. Man, he jumped right off that James Bradberry.
Now it's Terrell Edmonds.
Play to Terrell Edmonds is here to get burnt on every single.
Hopefully it works out the same way for Eagles fans, but I don't think it
for Terrell Edmonds. Hopefully it works out the same exact way because James Bradberry had a lot of accolades and a lot of credit, and he got paid at the end of the season. Even if he took less from Eagles, it's not like he came in for the quote unquote. And I guess you could. Would you say James Bradberry took the hometown discount?
Oh yeah, definitely did. He took like $2 million less than he could have, and he said all year he wouldn't, and he did. And by the way, I don't think he made a bad decision because again, I talked about the situation with quarterbacks and with Justin Fields. Same thing with him, man. If he goes to press coverage, he's not going to be the same player. He is he might be the best zone corner in football, period. I think he made a smart decision because you can go get that first year, and if you don't perform up to expectations as a big time free agent, you're going to get cut, and then you end up making less money in the long run.
See, that for me, it's twofold, and if you want to put a dividing line in the middle, you can, and I choose to, but I then need to explain myself. He took less than was offered somewhere else, so you can say he took a hometown discount. But when you're above what the average market is at your position to begin with, is it really even a discount at all? For me, the answer is no. If you're getting, most people project this is what you're paying, and you still get that or more, but you could have gotten even more than that had you gone somewhere else. I guess it's a discount, but it's not really a discount. And two guys fell into that for me this year, and that was James Bradberry and Fletcher Cox. That supposedly the Jets offered slightly more on a one-year deal for him to go with Joe Douglas.
Oh, they did, Jody. They did. The Jets offered.
Did Joe Douglas tell you that?
Somebody very well in the know told me that. Okay. And by the way, Gary said it as well. Gary Myers. So, Gary's pretty plugged in as well when it comes to you. Yeah, that's not bull, as they say. That
all right, because I had somebody tell me that they thought it was the same $10 million. But if your sources are better than my sources, so be it. But again, do I think Fletcher Cox merited a $10 million contract off the year that he had last year? The answer is no. So is it truly a discount? I guess if you define discount as less than someone else offered, then hell yeah, it was a discount. Hey, if you're making more than what
the funny thing, you bring that up, I go to you can phrase it, you can put it in so many ways, and that's politics is probably the best example of this. I remember the first time I ever heard spending was described as there was an increase in spending. So I'll just say that went from $10 to $15 million. And then the next year, it went from $15 to $17 million. But the opposition party described that as a cut because the percentage of the increase went down.
Right.
There are so many ways to manipulate that kind of crap. Now, in Fletcher's case, the Eagles will say, well, he had $14 million last year, and now he's making $10 million. This year, somebody else made him, offered him more, and they phrase it as, and they don't even, by the way, they don't use that terminology, hometown discount, but they'll say it's a good deal. Plus he had 7 sacks, and I think he had a better season than most people realize, but we've talked about Fletcher for whatever reason, because he's not the player he once was. I guess, a lot of fans take issue with it, but they need him. I mean, they need him too, because they lost Javon. Now, if they got Javon back at 16, Fletcher probably wouldn't be here.
Right. The reason that Fletcher Cox got $10 million for 1 year, the biggest reason from the Philadelphia Eagles is because Javon Hargrave's on the 49ers. That drove Fletcher's price. As soon as Javon was the second, two fastest free agents to sign were ex-Eagles. Edwards signed in about 15 minutes in Chicago, and Javon signed about 30 minutes later with San Francisco. So, two guys left the Eagles to get really good, nice paydays. As soon as Javon did what he did, I knew Fletcher was going to be okay, getting a pretty damn good deal coming back here to the Eagles. All right, Mac, guys, we're running way late. Timeout coming. Blake Bettyfield, former NFL executive, is going to join us coming up in less than 15 minutes now here on Birds 365.
Go to get your game